its geopolitical zone. And of course, some say it is one thing that has been was awaited for a long time. Resource geobalancing. The north, apart from Kogi State, which is was recently adjudged a crude oil producing state, Gombe and Bauchi, now in the bag, and so some say a set of balance will be achieved in the country. My colleagues are here with me. TVTF is joined by Abulo Semuagu. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Amici. Good morning, TV, and good morning, dear listener.
Yes, Amici, good morning to you. Good morning, listener. Amici, in 2009 or thereabouts, I visited the tomb of the late Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa in Bauchi State, and in the museum where his personal belongings that he had, the TV that he used, the bed, the chair and all of that, was this bottle. And inside that bottle was oil. And they told me, the tourist guy said, look, that was the first drop of crude oil that was drilled in 1956 in Oloibiri in present-day Bayelsa State. And he said it was given to Tafawa Balewa, at the time, and all of that. So tomorrow, when President Buhari gets to the Benue, what they call the Benue Trough between Bauchi and Gombe State, that is perhaps the history that will be repeating itself. But we have seen the story of the Niger Delta, whether it is a story to be happy or proud of, that they actually have crude oil. Abulu is here. He will tell us whether it is something they are proud of per se, because I'm saying this in the context of the development or the kind of things you expect of oil producing communities, as it were. We've not seen that per se, and there are various reasons and factors for it. Corruption is key, fundamental. And the nation, that's Nigeria, over time, has tried to see how we can help intervene or resolve that issue. Remember the 1%, all the percentages we've had over time, and now we have the 13% derivation. I mean, you don't want to know what happens to the 13% derivation. And the states in the Niger Delta, the people and the government will tell you is our money. Don't ask us what we do with it. But if you go into these states, and it's a special report that I did on all the 9 states in the Niger Delta, you'll be shocked and amazed at what happened. And some of them have what they call the Oil Minerals Producing Development Commission. And this 13%, once the 13% gets to the states, in the law, the laws establishing the development commissions, it's such that they allocate a percentage to the oil-bearing communities. And then the other one goes to the general purse of, the state. And when you get to those oil-bearing communities where we should have seen this development, you just see poverty, and all of that. Rivers does not even have the Oil Minerals Producing Development Commission. Akwa Ibom State also doesn't have. The others, Ondo, which started, Edo has, Abia State has, Imo State has, and
Delta has.
Delta has. But when you get into all of this, you see that 13% is not being used in those oil-producing states for us to see the kind of development. So, yes, it's history being made. Unfortunately, the poor people in those places where those oil will possibly be drilled will be say, oh, we also have oil now, not knowing that their future is not as beautiful as perhaps what they think they will see.
Yeah, thank you very much, TV, for that long explanation about the first oil drop. It's unfortunate that Bayelsa State, ranking second in the poverty index released for health, education, and multidimensional poverty. It's unfortunate to hear that the state where the first oil was drilled, the oil which we call a place which we call the goose that lays the golden egg, And today you cannot say you are going on a tourist tour in Olobiri. I don't know how developed Olobiri is. I don't know if it meets up the standard of being the first. Everything.
Apolo, you don't want to go there.
Okay,
you
good.
don't want to go there.
So
it's a sad commentary.
Good. So let me start from Mele Kyari, the GMD of NNPC, saying that oil thieves are employing technology. Well, the same NNPC Limited has awarded contracts for oil surveillance. I'm sure the company headed by Tompolo, government Tompolo, will employ technology to tackle the oil theft going on. We cannot keep lamenting, Amechi, as we keep saying. What solution, what antidote do you have to the technology used by the oil thieves? That's what that one takes me to the oil drilling that will be happening tomorrow in Bauchi. What technology are they employing? And Gombe Turf. I think that turf has been Dahomey, Benue, and coming out to Benue, Bauchi, Gombe. I hope the government of Nigeria will also employ technology, because it's a modern world. We are now a technology-driven society, and everything that you do, technology has a percentage in it. And if government can employ technology in drilling, I'm sure they will keep employing technology in managing the oil excavation, oil drilling going forward. Amechi, Teve talked about the 13%. There is also the PIA when it was passed, 3% for host community, which was later dragged to 2.5 profit, dragged to
of oil companies.
Yes, to 2.5%. The oil host communities were protesting then that it was too small. Why would you give 2.5%? You give 30% to oil excavation processes, like what is happening in Gombe now.
Oil prospect.
The 30% that's given to them. But when the GMD NNPC came out to say that 2.5 is about $500 million, they kept quiet. And now the question is, what development is in this area that has been producing oil for Nigeria in the past 50 years? There's nothing to write home about. You go to Bayelsa State, you weep, Amechi. You go to Delta State, you weep. You go to my state, Edo State, you weep. Because if you say these states are producing oil for Nigeria, and Nigeria has been sustaining, living on this oil, having a humongous amount from this oil, and you go to the states, you have nothing, the roads are not good, there's a big question mark on the leadership and the management of these resources that come from the oil. Now, we are going to see oil being drilled in Bauchi and Gombe, which means the whole bed under the Nigerian is oil. That is what it implies. It means that north to south, you have oil in Nigeria. And yet, we cannot manage the resources that come from this. Every day you hear oil theft, humongous amount being exported, and people managing the oil are stealing this money. And the poor man keeps suffering. You have 133 million poor people.
It's good that the NNPC GMD has corroborated what we have already known, that is those that are supposed to protect this. It's just like asking thieves and you recruit security men and top government functionaries to go and protect the central bank, and they're the ones that are stealing our currency from it. Who do you turn to? Yes, he has acknowledged what we already know. But the most important thing for me is, who are those responsible? Just establish the fact and walk away. No. Who are those responsible? Because one, if we don't identify them, two, prosecute them, three, punish them, then others will be encouraged to go in. Yes, we know it, but what can you do about it? That's the
if we don't, you keep lamenting.
Yes,
this lamentation will continue.
If we don't want impunity to reign in Nigeria, we have to move it. Identify those responsible. It's good enough the GMD has said it. Now, the president is the Minister of Petroleum. He should lead the charge. And with his, of course, reputation as a man who is not corrupt, he cannot keep quiet. Yes, he must not keep quiet this time around. They are not ghosts. Somebody who was in charge. Somebody was posted by the JTF, be it the Navy or the Army, at this post for some time, and crude oil were being stolen and all that. Who are those responsible? We need to dig deep. And if we just say this and allow it to pass, it becomes like the usual we see in Nigeria. Well, whether we like it or not, whether the world is moving away from fossil fuel, crude oil, and going to clean energy, whether those that enjoy it have not seen indeed development, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Rivers, Delta are the biggest oil bearers and producers in Nigeria. Are they among the least poorest states in Nigeria? No. Now, whether we like it or not, there's that bragging right. And there's that geopolitical balancing that is needed. The North will now have that bragging right. You're feeding fat on our oil. Well, the quantity is another issue. Whether it's
sedimentary oil.
But at least the bearing rights, the bragging right will now be spread. And perhaps it will help to indeed bring in a stability in our body politic.
I mean, I've refused to comment on the NNPC thing because, just like you said, because if I was going to comment, it's the same thing I was going to say. There is nothing new the man has said. In fact, we knew it before he's walking through, into what we already know. Just like you said, the issue is who are those responsible? That is what he would tell the Nigerians that we would think he's saying. In fact, it is not even his job. I'm not sure it is even his job to be talking about the theft and all of that. Where is the Nigerian Navy? Where are those who we pay? In addition to their failure now that we brought on Polo and all of that, those are the people who should be talking to. Every time you go, we've recorded a number of pipeline tapping on our pipeline. I don't want to.
What will the rest of the world think of Nigeria? That those that have the responsibility to protect national assets are the ones stealing it, and will have to engage a private security contractor to police our assets. Would they say are we not a bunch of jokers?
No, when they stopped the civil defense oil surveillance unit, some of us
because they were accused of being neck deep in that.
Now somebody was whispering to me that they drove us away. That because we are paramilitary, let them go and drive the military away from,
because now we also know that part of it.
Good, so it's not me or you saying it. The Pengassin president, who doubles as the TUC president, has inducted the military several times. Now the GMD NNPC is inducting the military. I think the military hierarchy should come out to tell us.
And the chief of naval staff said the bulk of the ceiling take place within NNPC, where they do the paperwork.
Exactly.
So they are shifting blame.
Yes.
Right? So
it's you know the oil.
So now, if you ask the question, ask GMD NNPC, name names.
Now,
who do you think
if we challenge the GMD of NNPC
to name names,
the same GMD has said he had been threatened, his life is under threat, and who are those protecting him? Is it not the security agencies? And when he names their name and they come after him, who will protect him? Let's situate it in proper perspective.
But I think what we need in this country going forward is a political will to implement certain penalties. If you are caught, now we are talking about technology. The other day, a young guy in Akwa Ibom developed a tracker to track vandalism, rail track vandalism, and we employed the Minister of Transportation then, Rotimi Amaechi, to embrace that child. Now, such person, if he's given more training, he can produce oil theft technology. You can detect when oil is being stolen. But this technology exists, Amaechi. We don't want to patronize the countries that produce technology. They exist.
Amaechi, just let me give you two examples. One, we're expecting results as we speak from Equatorial Guinea. Their 80-year-old president is going for his sixth term. His son.
Is he walking or crawling or is he moving with his three legs to his throne?
His son has been indicted by US and everybody for leaving fat on the country's oil
I think his daughter too.
And that's where they are. It's just a replica of Nigeria. But don't forget, that's where we went to recover the ship that ran away from Nigeria. Yeah. Angola, perhaps, is where we should be looking at. They also had oil thefts. I spoke with the ambassador recently. They all had oil theft. But the political leadership decided that enough was enough. They've ended that. They've introduced technology. They're doing well now. They're leading oil producers.
They're producing more than we do.
And the interesting thing is the entire world is ignoring Angola. But I can tell you that in the next 10, 15 years, that is going to be the biggest powerhouse in Africa.
No, I don't think the world is ignoring Angola. Angola decided to close its borders and focus on fixing its own country. How do we fix our country?
Responsibility on the shoulders of the president, who incidentally is the Minister of Petroleum. He has been there, perhaps the longest serving Minister of Petroleum in history. Under his watch, this thing will not continue and got to its peak. It has never been this bad. Crude oil theft was there even during Obasanjo, but under the Minister of Petroleum and the Commander-in-Chief, who has been a retired general, it got to its peak. The responsibility starts and ends on his table, on one hand as Minister of Petroleum, and on second hand as Commander-in-Chief, to muster the political will.
Give us a parting gift.
Give the GMD
Give
of
us a parting
NNPC
gift.
that political backing.
You should give us a parting gift and stop the oil stealing.
This in the board.
As
It's
he
a
leaves
sad
office.
commentary
Amechi,
on Nigeria.
I'm looking forward. Maybe we should be talking to the presidential candidates when they get to talk to the editors and the other town hall meetings. We should ask them what will they do to end oil
when they
theft.
come in. Are you giving up on this, President?
No, we said she give us a parting gift
I'm
and
looking- I'm
stop
looking ahead.
oil
I'm looking forward.
theft.
Okay, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, your mails. And one important discussion we'll be having today, is there a possibility of runoff presidential election where no candidate